So we've been working with this page of Liam Neeson, and we've changed our inline CSS to be embedded CSS. And here's our example of embedded CSS. In the head section of the web page, we have a style tag with all of the CSS information for everything on our page. Now this works really well, but there's a little bit more we need to do if we really want to be good with CSS and we want it to work for us. So I'm going to start with a question, and the question is this: what if I had, instead of one poem on here, two poems, and I wanted them to be different colors? Well, and let's say they're both inside of paragraph tags, because this one is inside of a paragraph tag right now. Well, if I go back to my gedit window, it looks to me as if this code is specified for all paragraphs, not just an individual paragraph. And in fact it is. Anytime I would put a paragraph tag down in the body section of my web page, I would have it, these styles would be applied. So the color would be applied, the font style and the font weight would all be applied. And it looks like I forgot my semicolon. Alright, save that. And so I'm going to just simply copy and paste this so we have two of the exact same paragraph right now. And if I save my web page and if I refresh it, you'll notice that it just appears twice. Now let's say that I want the second one to be orange. That's my simple task. I want to make the second one orange. Well, if I go back to gedit, you know, if I've specified a style here, but how do I do it separately? And if I did inline CSS, this would be easy, because I just do style equals and then put in my CSS rule there, and if I wanted this one to be different, I do style equals over here. And I could do it this way, and sure, that works, but at the end of the day there's a better solution, and here's that better solution. Instead of a style attribute inside of the paragraphs, what web designers do is they put either ID or class attributes. I'm going to show you ID first, and then I'm going to show you class, and really they work pretty much exactly the same way. So I'm going to give my first paragraph an ID, so ID equals, and I'm going to say this is P1, or I'll type it out, paragraph 1, and so I could really choose any name I wanted to for that. Then the next one, ID equals paragraph 2. And when I say I could choose any name, you know, really there are a few limitations. If I use a number at the start of it, I don't think it's going to work. So if I try to do 2 paragraph, that probably won't work. So start with letters. You know, make sure you don't have any spaces there. I can't do paragraph 2. That won't work. It has to be all one word, no spaces. All right. Now this won't change anything for me yet. What I need to do is somehow specify which ID I'm working with up here. All right. And so, excuse me. Let me get that window back up. Okay, and so what I do for an ID is I use the pound sign. So I can do P pound and then paragraph, and let's do 1 for now, paragraph 1. If I save this, that means that these styles will only be applied to the paragraph with the ID pound paragraph. And if I look here and refresh it, you'll notice that that was exactly the case. Okay, going back, well let's make a style for paragraph 2. So I'll hit return P pound sign paragraph 2, and then curly braces, don't forget about those, and I'm going to do color colon orange. Save it, and that should turn our second paragraph orange, and it did. So whenever you're using an ID, you're basically saying, I only want a style for this one specific HTML element. Maybe there are multiple headings on your page and you want them to be different from each other. Maybe there are multiple paragraphs on your page. You use IDs when something needs to have a unique style. Now the second thing we can do is use a class. And a class is used if you want to style multiple elements the same. And I'll show you what I mean by doing this. I'm going to copy and make a third paragraph. Okay, right now these both have the ID paragraph 2, and I think that would still work, but technically we shouldn't be doing that. So I'm going to get rid of those so that you should never have two elements having the same ID on the page. That's not how it's supposed to be used. So save. Right now I should have style applied to this first paragraph, but there should be no styles being applied to those two paragraphs. So refresh, and you see both these paragraphs completely plain. This one has the style. I want both these paragraphs to be of the same class. This one has a certain ID, but these two want to have this. I want them to have the same class name. So I'm going to type inside my paragraph tag, I'm going to type class equals, and then I'll type, let's call these paragraph 2. Or I'll just call it type 2. Type 2, the second one, class equals type 2. And then here, instead of the pound sign is used for IDs, so that makes sense up here because I'm still using an ID for paragraph 1. Notice it says ID equals paragraph 1. That's why I'd use the pound sign, but here I really just want to use a dot. This means it's a class name. So p dot paragraph 2, it'll be looking for the class name. If I save it and I reload it, something did not work. Let me check. That's right, because I did not call it paragraph 2, I called it type 2. So type 2, save, reload, and my text is orange as I expected. Now that's the basics. You use an ID if you're just going to do one element, give it a unique style, like we did here. You use a class if you're going to have multiple elements that require the same styling information. Now the cool thing about this is, or maybe not the cool thing, just one thing I want to point out is that really I don't need to even specify that it's a paragraph anymore. I don't even need that. I can just do pound paragraph and dot type 2, and this will still work because it's looking for any element that has the ID paragraph 1, and this one's looking for any element, not necessarily a paragraph anymore, that has this that is type 2. Okay, and notice they still work. So whenever you use an ID, pound ID name, and for a class, dot class name.